Namaste. My name is Preity Upala, and I am a global thought leader and a multimedia personality. Welcome to my podcast, The Preity Experience. Join me as I explore some of the most fascinating and crucial issues that affect our world today. I take a unique global perspective on these issues, and the very foundation of my insights is humanity and spirituality. I'm Preity Upala, and welcome to the Preity Experience.
Namaste, Jai Hind. My name is Preity Upala, and you are watching the Preity Experience. Welcome to another episode of Power Play with Preity, where we have engaging conversations with cricketing legends and thought leaders in the area of international cricket and the global game. Now, my guest this evening is a very, very special one indeed. I will introduce you to him and then I will bring him on to our show. So, my guest is a former Indian cricketer and a current international cricketing commentator. He was the first leg spinner with a reputation of being a trendsetter in Indian Test cricket. He began his commentary career in a match between India and Bangladesh in the year 2000 and has never looked back since. He also serves as one of the players' representatives in the ICC, the International Cricket Council's Cricket Committee. His voice is very distinctive, and when you hear him, you'll know exactly who I'm talking about. So my guest is Lakshman Siva Ramakrishnan, or LS, as he is very affectionately known by the cricket fraternity. So let's bring LS on.
Namaste and Jai Hind. That's what I'm going to say as well. It's great to be on your show, and I'm looking forward to all your questions and all the questions that are going to be asked by the viewers.
Namaste, LS. What a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time and for joining us. It's quite interesting. I'm all the way here in Beverly Hills, California, and you're all the way in Chennai in India.
Yeah,
So, but the beauty of technology that we get to connect, and one of the best things about this pandemic has been that we realize we are a global village in the end and how connected we are.
absolutely. I think one of the things we've got to learn to be indoors. We've got to learn to be how to protect yourself. We've got to learn how to be safe. And at the same time, technology helps us a great deal in keeping in touch with ourselves. And one thing certain that you and me are both interested in cricket and Indian cricket in particular. And people sitting at homes, they look for entertainment. They've got a lot of cricket coming on television these days, and they will be entertained by that. And this cricket chat will definitely enlighten them.
You know, the one thing that is for certain is I think the incredible summer and year of cricket that is awaiting us, and regardless of anything else in the world, I think we can be guaranteed that cricket fans will not be disappointed. Now, you've had quite a stellar career, both as a player and then obviously as an international commentator, and you have so many stories and adventures all around the world. So I think a conversation like this will be great for the audience to take a peek into this world, both as a player for India as well as being a high flying commentator. Now, at the age of 15, you were the youngest player in the under 19 Indian squad that went over to Sri Lanka. And
Correct.
at the age of just 16, you made your first class career debut. So how did all of that happen? I mean, you were so young. What a incredible opportunity.
But it all happened very quickly indeed. And for a moment, I mean, the debut in my first class cricket happened in the quarterfinal of Ranji Trophy against a very strong Delhi team. And I picked up 7 for 28 in the second innings, and instantaneously I became a big hit because the four great spinners, Prasanna, Venkatraghavan, Bishan Bedi, and Chandrasekhar, had just retired, and India were looking at just young spinners. So Maninder Singh, who was playing for Delhi, got 9 wickets in the game, and I got 9 wickets in the game, two in the first, seven in the second, and both of us stood out. And we got into the Indian team at the age of 16. So it was a very, very quick journey from first class cricket to Indian team cricket, and it happened very quickly. And nobody else would have been more delighted because when you start your career as a youngster, your ambition is to play for India. And if it happens, playing for first class cricket, Tamil Nadu, and playing test match cricket within a year, you're more than delighted, aren't you?
Wow. And I mean, great start. And also the captain who was leading that under 19 squad was none other than Ravi Shastri. And
Oh, yeah. We've been good friends for over 40 years now. You want to talk about Ravi as coach, as a player? Yeah, let's begin as a player.
absolutely, go for it.
Now, Ravi as a player was similar to what he is right now. In those days, the BCCI wasn't as rich as it is today. So we were used to sharing rooms. Actually, the trip of Sri Lanka wasn't a scheduled one. India under 19 was supposed to go to Pakistan, but something happened. The tour got cancelled and we went to Sri Lanka. And Shastri was 19 years of age. And B. Arun, Bharat Arun, who's the bowling coach of the Indian team, was also a part of that squad. And I was the youngest member of that team as well. So together, the three of us had a wonderful time. Those days, we used to share rooms, nothing like what happens today, where everybody gets an executive suite. But sharing of rooms was so good because you got to know one another very easily and very quickly, and you adapted to one another. And during the camp, before we went to Sri Lanka, we were in Bangalore. The dressing room was the dormitory, and the toilets and the baths that were attached to the dressing rooms were the only things that you had. So we had to adapt to everything from that stage onwards. And Ravi, me, and Arun got along really well from that day to today. We still talk to each other.
I mean, it's a friendship that's lasted decades. How has this friendship, especially with Ravi Shastri, how has it impacted you both as a player and as a commentator today?
See, a lot of people, for a layman, it's very difficult to understand Ravi Shastri. But if you know him well enough, he's simple, straightforward. He works hard. He likes a beer or two. He likes a couple of glasses of wine. Fine, that's fine by him and by me. Because during that camp in Bangalore, one of the days he was having a beer and somebody came up and caught him and said, we're going to take you down to the president of the Karnataka State Cricket Association. So Ravi had a half bottle of beer, and this guy said, give me the bottle of beer. I'm going to take it to the president of the Karnataka State Cricket Association. Ravi said, in any case, you're going to take me, whether I drink half a bottle or full bottle. So let me finish the bottle, and then with the empty bottle, you can take me there, and I will speak to him. And he went and spoke to the president of KSCA, and he told him straight, listen, I have a beer with my dad. So what's wrong if I have a beer after a hard day's work? That is what Ravi Shastri is all about. He's open, he's frank, he's straightforward, which a lot of people don't like.
No, I think a lot of credit to him. A big part of this current Indian team success is actually to the coach. I guess my question is, when you met him as a 16-year-old or 15-year-old, when you first met him, did you ever think or did you ever imagine that he would one day be coaching the Indian team?
Well, he had that ability to be a good manager in terms of, I can tell you certain incidents. There are plenty that's happened in my career. I mean, Sri Lanka tour, we played against Sri Lanka under 19s when there was Arvinda De Silva, Arjuna Ranatunga. And I certainly remember a few incidents. I'll narrate a couple. We went to England as an under 19 team, and there were certain areas where he would just bring me on at the right time. People would think if the pitch had a lot of moisture, the seamers would get a lot of help. Ravi, on the other hand, he only 19 years of age. He realized because the ball gripped the surface, the spinners will come into play. And he would give me a lot of bowling early in the match before the moisture dried out. Being a wrist spinner, I was able to turn the ball even in the first session on the tour of England under 19, and I had a lot of success getting early wickets. And Ravi would then use me a lot more in the second innings. So that was his point of view, and it really worked wonders. Another incident, I played my first test match where I got this t-shirt. I must show it to our viewers.
Wow.
It is,
Wow.
yep, my
Amazing.
test match debut, fifth test match. West Indies was India at Antigua. So after that, I had a bit of a break. And in 1984-85, England had come on a tour to India. So we were playing a side game, which was England's practice game. We were playing a side game in Ahmedabad. And Ravi and me in the team meeting took me aside and said, listen, I will give you a short spell in the first innings because Mr. Gavaskar is looking at you as a candidate for the first test match in Bombay, then
Wow.
and Mumbai now. So she told me straight on my face. I mean, he said, it's not that I want to put pressure on you. I want you to take the pressure and perform under it. And he said very clearly in the first innings, your spell, one spell of 7 or 8 overs. And that's it. No more bowling in the first innings. And in the second innings, I will give you the ball. You can keep bowling from whichever end you want as long as you want. That's exactly what happened. He gave me a short bowl in the first innings, and I got one wicket with Richard Ellison. Then we took me off the attack. And in the second innings, even if you go through the scorecards that are available right now on the internet, I think I bowled 25 overs, 25 runs, and 4 wickets. And that very evening, Gavaskar called Shastri to find out how well I had bowled. And Shastri gave the green signal. You can pick him straight away. So what I'm trying to say is he knew the potential, how to identify the potential, how to harness the potential and take it forward and guide them. That's what this current Indian team is all about. Harnessing talent, guidance when they're going through a bad time. We saw that with Mohammad Shami, and he's fantastic motivator of the boys.
Wonderful. And it's amazing to hear that even at 18, even at under 19, he had that instinctive nature. And obviously, he's a good man manager, or manages players well. Now, India won the WCC World Cricket Championship in 1985. What impact did this have on Indian cricket at the time?
Well, if you go back in time, Preity, we'd won the 83 Prudential World Cup that was played in England. I think that was the turning point for India. And if I go back on the 1983 tour of West Indies, I'll come back to the World Championship of Cricket, of which I have another shirt, which I'm going to show you and the viewers. So the World Cup in 1983, before that, we had toured the West Indies. So on the tour of Guyana, there was a place called Berbice, where we went by helicopters, landed on the ground, and played a one-day international. And that particular game was a high-scoring game by the standards of 1983. It was a 260, 270 game, and India won it chasing. Gavaskar got some runs, Kapildev got runs, and I think that's the first time India beat West Indies in a one-day international. And then the self-belief and the motivation of the players changed and changed dramatically, and they believed that they could beat West Indies very often. Even in the Prudential Cup 1983, in the first round of games that they played against the West Indies, they won the first match and then lost the second match, and then they played the final at Lords, and you would know a lot about that finals in that low-scoring game of 183. Preity?
Wow. And then coming to the WCC.
Yeah, after we had won the World Cup in 1983 with the low score on the board, everybody said it was a fluke. So there were about 5 changes from the team that went to the 83 World Cup. There was 5 youngsters that were brought into the side. That was Azharuddin, there was Manoj Prabhakar, there was about 5 changes that came into the side. Ashok Malhotra and me. Actually, I was playing a 50-over game at that point in time in Chennai for my club team. And I didn't get to bowl a single over. I batted at number 3 and got some runs. And I fielded, and I was a reasonably good enough fielder. I didn't get a bowl in my club game 50-over competition. Would you believe it? After we finished the game, we won the game. And there was this press guy, Pratap Ramchand was his name, who used to write for Indian Express. He came to the ground. He said, "Congratulations, Ellis. You're in the one-day side to go to Australia." And I was flabbergasted. I said, "What? Are you pulling my leg? Are you trying to, just fool around with me? I didn't even bowl in a club game. How am I going to play a one-day international? I've just played the test series against England. Man of the series, all right. But test match cricket. I didn't play in the one-day games." But he said, "No, the team's been announced. And those times you didn't have cell phones or computers where you can pull out and show the team." So he called up Mumbai, which is now in Bombay then, and he spoke to one of his mates, and he spoke to me and he confirmed with me that I was in the team. And I was really, really shocked. I was really shocked because I didn't know what one-day cricket was all about. Even the World Cup in 1983 was more conventional. It was 60 overs. They played with the whites and played with the red ball. But when we went to Australia in 85, then this get together at Mumbai happened. We all met. I called up Robbie and I asked him, "I'm part of the one day setup now." He said, "Yeah, good. Again, we'll be sharing a room together. Let's go out there and have a lot of fun on and off the field." So when I met him in Mumbai, where we all got together before departing for Melbourne via Singapore. So again, I was sharing a room with Ravi and I asked him, "Listen, I've not played a one day game. Why am I on this team?" So he said, "Why are you so surprised? You're in the team, good for you." And he said, "Listen, we are coming back later in the year for a test series. Maybe the selectors want you to have a feel of Australia and the Australian pitches." So I said, "Okay." I got convinced with that point of view. And I said, "All right, okay, this is a good month in Australia. I'll go there, work hard, and try and improve my cricket." But then we got onto the flight. There was Roger Binney, myself, and Ravi Shastri sitting in the middle three seats. Air India Boeing, two seats, three, and then another two. It was one of those aircrafts, and we had a big laugh right through. And I was still under the impression that I was not going to play. So we landed in Singapore. Then we went via the transit via Singapore to Melbourne. And Melbourne, we went and slept straight away. It was evening. So we went to sleep. And by the time we woke up, I was just fiddling around with the papers in the hotel room. And there were these coupons to go to Juliana's, which was the nightclub at the Hilton Melbourne we were staying. So Ravi and me couldn't sleep. I said, "Let's go down and see what's happening." It was a discotheque in Melbourne. And it was in the same hotel, so we couldn't sleep. And there was a coupon for a beer each. So we went down just to have a beer and see what's happening and then come upstairs a little later. So we went down. We really had a good time. And we came back when we felt sleepy and went and slept in the room. And the next morning, both of us were fast asleep when there was a knock on the door. And the knock was going on and on and on. And finally, when we woke up, it was Erapalli Prasanna, the team manager, saying, "There was team practice this morning. What are you doing?" They said, "We didn't know about it." "No, I left a chit under your room, underneath the door of your room." So Ravi was straightforward. Ravi said, "We came back late in the night. We didn't see any paper or anything. So we decided we'll sleep." I thought it was a day off because we had a jet lag. But then immediately we got ready and went to the nets. And Prasanna told us, "You've got to do extra few laps of Melbourne cricket ground." And it is a very, very large ground. So we were punished for being late. And then the practice happened. And throughout the tour, I must tell you, all the success that we had is because what we were off the field. Everybody was together for a meal, for a drink, or for whatever it was. We stayed together as a family.
Amazing. And I can see a little bit of that in today's squad too. I think that feeling of being a unit is certainly there. Now, how much did the WCC mean to you personally, as leg spinners aren't or weren't usually normally picked for ODIs?
That was the thing I was surprised about when I asked Ravi why I'm in the team. So what happened in Australia was when we had net sessions, Gavaskar would come up to me and say, "Don't bowl your googlies, don't bowl your flippers, don't bowl your top spinners, nothing. Just bowl your leg breaks for 30, 45 minutes and just go away." I was wondering what's happening. What's going on here? So I didn't know. So I just listened to Gavaskar. I know he's a legend. He tells me something. I trust him as a captain. And I just would bowl my leg breaks and go. And then the day before the first game, India Pakistan was the first game. A day before, he said to me in the nets, "What are you and Ravi doing today for lunch?" So we said nothing. So he said, "Let's the three of us go out for lunch." So we finished our morning practice and we had a shower back in the hotel and then went out for lunch, a Chinese meal. And Gavaskar, myself, and Ravi sitting together. We ordered our meal and then Gavaskar asked me, "What field would you like to bowl to?" You must have seen the look on my face. In disbelief, I didn't know what hit me. I looked around at Ravi. Ravi didn't know what happened because all the while the thing was I was here to experience Australian conditions. So when I come back later in the year and next year to be a test match cricketer, I would be more familiar with the conditions. But here, Mr. Gavaskar says you're playing tomorrow. And what field do you want? So I had to wait and tell him, "Listen, Ravi told me this on the flight, and you told me not to try my variations in the nets." He said, "Listen, the very fact I told her not to bowl the variations in the nets is because there are cameras all over here. In Australia, the media is very strong. They'll pick your variations and give it to the Australian team, and they would analyze you, and then they would play you much more easily. That's why I asked you not to bowl your variations." I said, "Thank God I listened to whatever you said." So you will see Gavaskar, the leader, how well he's managed, how well he's planned, and how well he's guided people, especially me. I've been very, very happy and successful playing under Gavaskar. So when he tells me this kind of a field setup, so I sit and think for a while. And as we were having lunch, all three of us discussed because Ravi has captained me many times in junior cricket, and Gavaskar has now captained me the England series and now the one day series in Australia. So we had a discussion and came to an agreement that I will bowl round the stumps with a 5-4 leg side field because Australian grounds being big grounds, you really had to hit a long hit to get a six. If you did not hit it well enough, then there's a big chance of getting out in the deep. So when we sat and decided that I was going to bowl round the stumps to five fielders on the leg side and force the batsman to hit against the turn, because I was confident that I can turn the ball on any pitch. So that was the confidence I had, and we convinced Gavaskar I'll bowl with this field, and it happened. Against Pakistan, I picked up 2 wickets. In fact, my first wicket was Zair Abbas.
Wow.
And few years earlier, you would know about Zair Abbas. He had taken the four great spinners to the cleaners. I mean, he pasted them all over the park in Faisalabad, in all the test matches in Pakistan. And it was a huge moment. I mean, in Melbourne Cricket Ground, making your ODI debut and picking Zair Abbas as your first ODI wicket was amazing. And then I picked on Kasir Omar. That was 2 wickets. But the thing really was another point Gavaskar made at the meeting. Between Ravi Shastri's 10 overs and my 10 overs, we needed to bowl for less than 100 runs, but make sure that we got 5 wickets. So it gave us the liberty. So the understanding between me and Ravi was, since we were roommates, Ravi said, "I'll keep it tight. You bowl for wickets. I will keep it tight and create pressure. You bowl for wickets. So you can bowl with a lot more freedom." So that kind of a planning, and we were bowling in tandem. And Ravi kept bowling tight overs, and people were trying to charge me and getting wickets. So it all happened very beautifully. That World Championship of Cricket was an amazing, amazing journey. And if you see on the other hand, Pakistan had Abdul Qadir, and he hardly got a game. Sunil Gavaskar was the only captain that used a leg spinner. Probably I was the one of the kind as a trendsetter, like you mentioned. I was the only leg spinner that played. India Pakistan played twice in that competition. The first game and the finals, both games Qadir didn't play. Both games I played, and both games I was successful.
Unbelievable. How amazing. Now, obviously, the state of spin in the current, in Indian squads, test as well as ODI is stellar. But looking forward into the future, what do you see as the future of spin in India and when you look at future generations of the Indian spinners, what do you see? And also, are there any names of bowlers that you think will take more than 400 test wickets?
Listen, that's a very, very, very good question. The last two parts of it, the last two words, Literally, I mean, you call the shots right there, Preeti, because test wickets, it's not white ball cricket. There are a lot of leg spinners playing white ball cricket. T20s, every team has two leg spinners. And you see, one day cricket, a lot of leg spinners bowl because current day leg spinners are quite happy bowling with a spread out field, which means even when they bowl a bad ball, they've got fielders in the deep to protect boundaries. Yeah, there are modern day batsmen, modern day equipment. You can hit a six, but sometimes you don't hit a six. People want to hit a six, sometimes they can't, and they get out caught in the deep. That's why you will find a lot of leg spinners getting a lot of success in white ball cricket. But when you go at test match cricket, you've got to have men round the bat. White ball cricket, you have fielders on the boundary line. You can't do the same in a test match because people will milk you for ones and twos. The odd bad ball will be hit away for four, and people will not have pressure when the people are on the boundary line. So, men round the bat, you can't afford to bowl a bad ball. Whereas in one day cricket, you could bowl a bad ball and get away. In test match cricket, it's all about consistency over a period of time. No, you're not bowling 10 overs or 4 overs like you do in a 50 over game and a 20 over game and get away with it. You might have to bowl 40 overs. You might bowl really well and bowl 25 overs and get 5 wickets. So anything could happen. But the one thing in Test cricket, if you've got to be successful, you've got to be able to bowl long spells and be very, very accurate and be able to turn the ball both ways. Now you can see Ashwin, traditionally off spinner, but he's got the carom ball to go his way. So modern day spinners have to do a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Ball to turn both ways for a leg spinner, leg break, googly. The top spinner, the one that goes straight and jumps up, the slider or the flipper, that one goes straight and slide through. An off spinner's got to have the drifter, he's got to have the carom ball. So you've got to have ball deviating different directions. And now, of course, it's a flight, the change of speed, and everything. So at the moment in India, to answer your question, we're struggling in the spin department.
Mm.
There are a lot of genuinely good fast bowlers coming around.
Yes.
A lot of credit must be given to Bharat Arun because he's not only managing the fast bowlers in the Indian team, he was the coach at NCA earlier. And all those fast bowlers are coming through nicely. And at the same time, there is a lot of concern for spinners, especially in Test match cricket.
Interesting. Your point is so spot on. Even in IPL, we have incredible spinners, but specifically Test cricket. I mean, there's two, Ravi Ashwin and Ravi Jadeja, who are excellent. But where's the new crop of phenomenal, spinners for Test cricket? So hopefully they'll be able to nurture some from the under 19 or the domestic, because that's where the talent will come from. Now, there is an abundance of talent in general in India, so much so that there was a whole India A side that's being sent to Sri Lanka, to play white ball cricket over there. Uh, how do you see this? Is this a good sign that we have so many fantastic players? And why did, I guess, the BCCI or the selectors make this call to send? We have two teams now. What is the reasoning behind this? And do you think it's a good move?
We can field 3 teams if we want. We have so much of talent, and it's white ball cricket, like I mentioned earlier. White ball cricket, we have enormous potential. And because of IPL, that's because of IPL. IPL, you see every team, 7 Indian players competing. So 8 into 7, 56. So if there are 50, out of 56, there are at least 40 good players.
Wow.
So you can actually go on, even if there are 35 good players, can go on to pick 3 teams with good 11s. 33 players is what you need. So apart from the 2 11s, you still have a good 11 more players. So that's the bench strength for India in white ball cricket. That is what you said. The earlier question was Test match cricket. Now when we talk about white ball cricket, it's totally different. We have abundance of talent and a lot of leg spinners. You have Yuzvendra Chahal, you have Rahul Chahar, then you have Amit Mishra, you have Piyush Chawla. To take white ball leg spinners, there are plenty of them. And there are a younger lot as well, which played the under 19s. So at least 8 to 10 leg spinners playing in the IPL. But I want test match leg spinners. Even if somebody wants me to coach them, I would coach them free of cost if they're interested in working hard and trying to bowl 40 overs and being good enough to play test match cricket. I want the young Indian leg spinners wanting to die to play for India in test match cricket.
Wow, Test cricket is the pinnacle of cricket, and I think as amazing as IPL is, especially for India, uh, young players shouldn't forget where the real charm and grace lies is Test cricket, and that will never be replaced, and nor should it ever be, and hopefully it won't. And I hope even the ODI format actually doesn't get replaced either by T20, because that's also kind of under threat because there's so much popularity of the shortest format. Oh, what do you suggest? I mean, what can the BCCI do to encourage, especially in the spin department for Test cricket? How can they find these gems?
No, not too many viewers will know about the things that you've done behind the scenes. I mean, I must give you a lot of credit because you did a lot of research on Indian cricket. You've done a lot of research about me and the current Indian team. Probably we'll talk about the current Indian team, about the World Test Championship in our next episode, which should happen pretty soon because
Yes,
we are building to that, aren't
yes,
we? In the first show, which is what I am and what Ravi is, what Bharat Arun is. And they have brought this Indian team to the pinnacle of winning the World Test Championship. But I think for India, one day cricket is no problem. For India to produce test match winning bowlers, currently we have great fast bowlers like a Bumrah or a Shami, and you have Ishan Sharma picking in the last two,
yes.
3 years, and somebody like a Ishan Sharma playing 100 test matches. A fast bowler playing 100 test matches is immaculate. It's a brilliant achievement. So
Wow.
the fast bowlers, if they take the first 2 wickets, as a spinner, when I come into bowl, the pressure's on the batsman. Then I can bowl with a lot more freedom. The batsman is under pressure. So I can bowl my leg breaks, my googlies, my top spinners, and off spinner can bowl whatever he wants. So the fast bowlers pick up early wickets, then the likes of Jadeja and Ashwin can dominate, which is what India have done over the years, last 5 years, to dominate Test match cricket. And Virat Kohli is there. You have a very strong batting lineup. That's why India are the best side over a period of number of years. I think you did the research. I think you came up with a number of last 5 years.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, last 5 years. She's been doing a lot of work behind the scenes, and because I am doing all the talking, she's not talking much. So come on, Preeti, fire your questions. Your
No,
questions
no, I
first.
just, it's such a thrill to get, hear it from your mouth. I know that it's our Ashwin is irreplaceable, but we do need to look for a somebody of his caliber very, very soon, because I don't think he'll be playing beyond a couple of years, maybe 2, 3 years. I think he'd want to, especially on the, but I don't know.
I
Maybe
think
he's got it in him to do another 3, 4 years. But Jadeja is phenomenal. But we need a lot more than that, considering India's always been the home of spin, right? I mean, that's the one department where we don't struggle is spin. The fast, we used to have a void of fast bowlers, and now that problem is solved in Test and ODIs. But
ODIs, yeah.
yeah,
Ashwin, when he started his career, being a Chennai boy, being an off spinner, being a tall man, was always compared to Venkatraghavan. And
oh
Ashwin, Venkatraman was a fantastic cricketer, a fighting cricketer, off spinner, would get a lot of bounce, not a big turn of the ball, but he had a lot of comparison as early as he started playing cricket
wow,
in Chennai. Is he going to be the next Venkatraman? So this pressure was always there on Ashwin. And he was picked for CSK in 2009 with Mahendra Singh Dhoni as captain. There are a couple of things with Mahendra Singh Dhoni. You are under a very good leader, but at the same time, he sets a very high standard
yeah.
for you. So you got to deliver. So one side, you've got a very supportive captain, but he expects you to perform big. So how
Mhm.
are you going to handle the situation? See, that's one of the reasons why Ashwin has been so successful. Early in his career, he played under an exceptional captain who gave
Wow.
him the new ball who allowed him to bowl in the power plays. Who would do that? Allow a spinner to bowl in the power play with just two fielders outside the inner ring. And Ashwin was amazing. He came out with flying colors, picking up Gale, picking up Pollard, picking up all the big hitters. And he developed a lot of confidence. And he came into the Indian team and replacing Harbhajan Singh. Harbhajan Singh had 424 wickets.
Mhm.
And Ashwin also then had to compete with Harbhajan. So all his life, he's been competing.
Mhm.
But what he did was, where some of us went wrong, we tried to compete with other people. What Ashwin did right, he tried to compete with himself,
Awesome.
trying to get better all the time. So he was often analyzing his own bowling,
Mhm.
analyzing the opposition that is going to come in. And because of the technical knowledge people have these days, people have coaches for every department, but
Yes.
the willingness to learn and sit down with the bowling analyst, learn the kind of deliveries that you want to bowl. Then you know what Ashwin does is fantastic. He sits down with the batting analyst and
Wow.
he asks them about the approach of the opposition batsman. What is their strength? What is their weakness? Where do I bowl to with? Where do I not? So he does spend a lot of time in analyzing a batsman, working out different kinds of deliveries, and then practicing it and bowling it in match situations. It's quite amazing, remarkable. He thinks cricket all the time.
Love it.
Sometimes he's on social media,
Yes.
probably just to relax. But otherwise, Preeti, you will see him thinking, eating, everything, sleeping cricket.
They call him the professor, I think. He's seems like he's got a great cricketing mind and a very intelligent person. And also in his many interviews that I've seen, he speaks very, very fondly of MSD and how CSK and Dhoni made him a better player. He does speak about that very. He's even gotten emotional, I think, at when he spoke about MSD's retirement. You know, you could see it in
Hmm.
his face and in his voice. That's phenomenal. Now, this is an interesting question. What is your opinion of Indian domestic players leaving India and going to other countries and trying to make a career over there, including my country, the US? I think recently we've seen some stories in the media of some players doing that. What are your views, and is this a good thing, or should this not happen? And should we try to nurture these people so that they can play for India?
See, when we played in the 70s, 80s, probably in the 90s as well, it was a sport. People played for the passion, people played for the love of the game. And if they were skills were really good, if they performed really well domestically, they got the opportunity to play for India. And India didn't play too many matches at that point in time. Probably 5 or 6 test matches. ODIs came on much later, probably 5 ODIs and 5 test matches. That's why some of the careers ended up being short. And there
Hmm.
was abundance of talent. I mean, when I failed, Hirvani came into the side and he gets 16 wickets. Then Hirvani fails and Anil Kumble comes and gets 619 wickets. So there is no chance of a comeback. But today,
Yes,
because they play a lot more number of games, there are opportunities for people to make a comeback.
true.
So India has now actually 3 teams of what we spoke about earlier. So more the opportunities, the better it is. And it was a sport at that point of time. The money wasn't too much. Now with IPL coming in, the government had made it. Then government Congress had made it BCCI actually a tax-paying thing. Before that, it was not paying tax because it was a sporting body. Now it
Wow.
became a profession of sorts. So they considered cricket as a profession. So you started losing all the benefits of paying income tax, and players consider this as a profession. So what I'm trying to say is, if people the last 2 years because of the pandemic, there's been not enough domestic cricket.
Mm.
And if for IPL, the overseas cricketers can come and play in India, and if an Indian cricketer gets an opportunity to go and play overseas, why not? We all now start playing for a living. I
Yes.
do commentary for a living now. So cricket has become a profession. Umpires take up, I mean, they give up the jobs, take up umpiring as a profession. People do scoring for as a profession. I mean, there are sports analyst, fitness trainer. So it's become more or less a profession. That's why people get an opportunity somewhere else they want to go and play. But the thing is, they can't play IPL. If they go
Yes.
and play a Caribbean Premier League or something else, they won't have the eligibility to play the IPL, which is a big loss for them.
And fair, it's fair from an Indian perspective. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You have to make everyone makes sacrifices, and you have to do the right thing for your career path, I suppose. This is really a left field question, but who do you think should be the captain for Australia for the upcoming Ashes series?
I think it should be Steve Smith. I mean, once he's back in the side, he's been officially pardoned and he's gone through his
Yes.
ban for 1 year. I think the best player in the side, Steve Smith,
Mhm.
should automatically become the captain. With Tim Payne being the captain, I don't think he's a good enough candidate to be a permanent member of the side. I know your early days in Sydney, New South Wales, you have a passion for Australian cricket. I think, in my opinion, I mean, Ricky Ponting, Michael Clark, they were the best players at that point of time.
Yes.
They led the side. Steve was the best player at that point of time. He led the side. Now, Steve Smith is the best player in the team, and he's got to lead the side, in my opinion, because when your team head, the captain is strong, the body and the tail is strong too. So that's
Yes.
why the captaincy part of it is so very important. And as a key player, as the best player in the team, you can lead by example, which Virat Kohli does for India.
Well, we'll find out very soon if Steve Smith is appointed, because I think there's been a lot of um, very subtle, from his side, subtle messaging that he's ready, he's willing, should the opportunity be offered to him. And obviously, it needs to be done, in a democratic fashion, in a politically correct way, where the current captain steps down or so on. So let's see if that's going to be the case. I don't think it'll be Tim Payne. It'll have to be Steve Smith or maybe Aaron Finch or well, there's Pat Cummins too. But
Hmm. Yeah,
we'll,
absolutely.
we'll we'll find out soon. Um, Coming back to your commentary days, how did you? I think your first stint with commentary was for Doordarshan for the domestic in 1999, I think. So how did that come about?
Yeah, 1998 was my last year in first class cricket. I went and played for
Ah,
Baroda. And 1999, I was supposed to go back and play for Baroda, but while playing a club game, I fractured this finger, and it was a tournament in Kerala. This particular finger, index finger in my left hand, while going for a catch, it pointed to my left hand side, and it broke in pieces, and it wasn't properly done. So when I came back to Chennai, the doctor looked at the X-ray and said, "You can't play for almost 6 months. I have to do a surgery and put a small little rod inside that,
mhm.
and you will have to be in a sling for 4 months." So I said, "Oh my God, this is the end of my career," because I was not getting any younger. So
Yes.
with a sling in hand, and I was watching my television one day, DD Sports, Doordarshan Sports. There was a first class game happening, and I would see the odd people doing commentary. So I called up one of my friends in Chennai, Parameshwaran is his name. He was working for Doordarshan at that point of time. And I said, "Can I get an opportunity to work as a commentator?" So he said, "Please write a letter. Let me speak to the people in Delhi and find out." And they gave me an opportunity to work in 1999. They gave me a few matches. At that point in time, like when we started playing cricket, for commentary fee, it was Air India economy flight to the destination and 2,000 rupees in hand. You have to look after your food and accommodation. So wherever I went in 1999 to do a domestic game, which was 4 days, I would end up spending out of my pocket because I had to look after the stay for 4 nights or maybe in 5 nights, and then my food and everything, breakfast, lunch, dinner. So sometimes I would spend out of my pocket. But in Doordarshan, often the producer will be just in his own world. He will not disturb you, which means you can commentate freely. And even if you don't, I mean, even if you make mistakes, nobody is there to correct you or pull you up. You can afford to make mistakes and get away with that. So you would learn only by making mistakes. I mean, everybody makes mistakes. All of us make mistakes. But on live television, when you
Mhm.
make mistakes, everybody sees it. I mean, on live television, it can't be hidden.
Yep.
So even in life, I mean, everybody makes mistakes. Some people can hide them, but if you're
Mhm.
live on TV, you can't hide them. But one thing is, you got to accept it in your stride. Nowadays, there's social media. People are there to put you up straight away. You've got to take it in your stride because you're a professional. So you are going to be rated. People are going to have opinions about you, and you've got to go with what people are going to say about you. So that's fine by me, but that's how I started. And hopping on to my international commentary, that's when I decided if my commentary career is going to be a permanent one or a temporary one.
Mm.
Guess why?
Why?
My co-commentators, would you guess who they were?
Well, my question was your first international commentary game was the one between India and Bangladesh in 2000.
Yeah.
I don't know who I. It's not Ravi Shastri, right?
No, Ravi was there. Ravi recommended
Okay,
my
that's a good
name.
guess.
Yeah, but there was Worldtel, a company owned by Mark Mascarenas. He was the man who signed Sachin Tendulkar up for a huge amount at that point in time. When Sachin became God after that, Mark Mascarenas got the rights in Bangladesh, and Saurav Ganguly's first test as captain. So Mark had asked Ravi, listen, I want to introduce a new commentator. And generally, I find people in the southern part of India speaking the language pretty well. So, do
Yes.
you know anybody that can do commentary? So, Ravi, the good friend that he is, been over a number of years, but having heard me on Doordarshan on a couple of games, suggested my name, and Mark took it straight away. But when I landed in Dhaka, first of all, I was shocked in the airport because people are smoking cigarettes and this and that in the baggage claim, and the hordes of people and the traffic. I landed in the hotel. That evening was the commentators' meeting, and I see Ian Chappell, and I see a Tony Gregg, and I see a Michael Holding, and I see a Ravi Shastri, and a Mark Mascarenas. And Mark was a huge man. I mean, huge in size and huge generosity. So this was the commentary team. I looked at it and said, listen, if I don't make a fool of myself, I think I will be able to do commentary for a few years. The next 5 days is not only going to be a test of character, it's going to be a test of skill. And we had a meeting. I mean, they were very friendly. Must say, give it to the late Tony Gregg and Ian Chappell. Both of them fantastic guys. Ian Chappell is a very, very good student of the game. He loves talking cricket. And I would often spend every evening with Tony Gregg and Ian Chappell in Mark Mascarenas' room. And Ravi would be there as well. And I would just listen to what they're saying. Because when I first picked up the mic, I was with Tony Gregg, and my first words were the biggest mistakes of my life. I said, nicely played through the covers off the back foot for a couple of runs. So Tony Gregg went on commentating after that, and then he put his mic down, says, Mike, don't describe the obvious. People can see that he's played off the back foot through covers, and he's got 2 runs. TV commentary is all about adding value to the
Yes.
picture. You know, it would be nice if we say good use of the feet and finding the placement and good running between the wickets because people can see he's played off the backward. You're talking about the placement, playing close to the body, and excellent running between the wickets, running the first one hard, putting pressure on the fielder. If there is a fumble, then you come back for 2. So that is the value you've got to add. Don't talk about the visual, don't describe the visual. That's why I think a lot of people fail to understand
Yes.
why I don't describe the visual, because you can see the visual. The very fact that you're watching the game is because you know the game, you understand the game. I need to give valuable inputs. In my part, what I try to do is I have a reasonable knowledge of spin bowling because I was a spinner and I made a lot of mistakes. And over the number of years in commentary, I learned what the right technique was.
Mhm.
I Because I bowled in the wrong way. I had to correct myself. I learned while I was doing commentary because I played my last test match when I was 21. But over
Wow.
21st year of commentary now, in the last 20 years, I've learned so much about the game.
Mhm.
I'm still a student of the game. So you learn so much when you watch those images. So I learned a lot about commentary at that point in time. Do not describe the visual,
Mhm.
add to technicalities, teach people about technicalities. Even a boy on the street should know whether he should have been on the front foot or should have been on the back foot. Even a guy on the road should know what length to bowl, what field to set. That is when you succeeded as a cricketer, as a commentator.
And in India, yes, every little boy knows exactly what he understands what's going on in the field, which is that's the beauty of cricket in India. Um, Now, last but not least, at least from my sort of uh, questions that I wanted to cover was obviously you live in Chennai. You I'm assuming you are a fan of Chennai Super Kings. You have had an association with them. They had appointed you as their spin coach for the IPL season of 2018. So
Yeah,
I'm
just before they started the season, I know you're a big fan of CSK as well. Just before they started the season, the usual camp, and the pitches in Chennai are spinner friendly. And during those camps, I would go because it was in the evenings. Chennai, believe me, you can't go during the day in April and May. It's so hot. So in the evenings, I would go to the Chepauk Stadium and just have a chat and motivate the players. Nowadays when you play T20, it's not about skill entirely. It's about how you take somebody hits you for a boundary, you come back stronger. It's more about how you mentally approach the game. So I had
Mhm.
some good sessions, but I tell you, MST is a magnificent man. I mean, there is so much about him.
That's amazing, which leads me on to the next question. Your Look, I really think that CSK and CSK fans have made IPL the brand that it is, and so your view of CSK as a franchise and your view of Mr. IPL himself, MS Dhoni.
That's why I left it there because I wanted you to ask about MS Dhoni. Because when the first season started, IPL, every team, or more or less, almost all the team, had a player that was called, an icon player. Delhi had Virendra Sehwag,
Mhm.
Mumbai had Sachin Tendulkar, Punjab had Yuvraj Singh. Then there was an icon player for almost every state that had an IPL team. VVS Lakshman for Hyderabad, Deccan Chargers then. But for Chennai, there was no icon player. So what the people decided was 2007 MS Dhoni
Mhm.
won the World Cup for India in T20 cricket. So let's go for MS Dhoni. No matter what the price is, we have to get the T20 captain to be our icon player. And I tell
Wow.
you, from 2008 till today, the only time MS Dhoni broke down was coming after 2 years of suspension, and the year that they won, coming back into IPL, that the year that they won, in the formal speech before the camp when he gave. People must have seen it many a time on
Yes.
video on YouTube or wherever. I still am in disbelief. Is that really MS Dhoni crying?
I really think that it's CSK and the CSK fans that have made IPL into the brand that it is today. So I wanted your views on CSK as a franchisee and, of course, Mr. IPL himself, MS Dhoni.
Well, MS Dhoni is CSK. I'm telling you, I mean, he is being given all the liberties by the big boss, and he is given so much of respect. He gets the team that he wants, he gets the coaches that he wants, and you will see MS Dhoni controls the show. He runs the show from even behind. Like he's been given complete control. Nobody asks him a single question. And because they know Mahendra Singh Dhoni is a complete professional and a fantastic captain, the best at doing his job and a great finisher, they have faith and confidence in him. then they've given it entirely to him. If there is anything that is of administrative nature, then the CEO will step in. Nobody goes there to the cricket ground and trying to say X or Y should play like this or like that. MS Dhoni is the man and he is CSK.
Amazing. And tell us about that very emotional speech that he gave after when they won, when they came back to win. Um, I think you were mentioning that it it was the first time that you've seen him break down, and I think most Indian fans haven't seen him cry, but he did get emotional during that speech. So what were your views about that?
Well, he must have been under pressure in front of millions of people on television at least on 100 occasions. Under pressure, finishing matches, winning matches more than 100 times. And you couldn't see a single sign of emotion on his face when he was on the field. But after being banned for 2 years, and when they came back into IPL, there was this small little function where MS Dhoni had to speak to the players, and it was a new time coming back out of the ban. By the way, one thing you mentioned about CSK being a big brand, actually, the ban increased the number of fans
Yes.
for CSK. So when they came back and they were going to play, MS Dhoni for the first time broke down. He never once reacted in a tough situation when it came to billions of people watching him. But here it was a small gathering of players and the administrators, and he just broke down. He couldn't even speak. Suresh Raina had to go and give him a small bottle of water for him to drink and then speak. I mean, that is the way MS Dhoni is. He is so attached and passionate about CSK. And CSK and the people in CSK are treated like a family. That's why they all are very, very happy playing for CSK. They want to come back for Chennai Super Kings. And so are the fans. The fans are given a lot of importance too. They are well rewarded. There are some cricket tournaments going for kids right through the year. I mean, unless it rains, kids are being, taught how to play cricket. They're being entertained. So much is being happening behind the scenes. It's not only about the game. It's a family, and it wants to produce entertainment for all.
Well, I was just reading in a report recently that it is one of the top five franchises in the world of all sports put together when you look at social media following and the fan following. It was the only Indian franchise, the only cricket franchise in the entire top 20, I think, and they were right up there because they've got enormous fans on social media and also off of social media. I think that I know that there's this great rivalry between CSK and MI, but when you look at just fans and numbers and brand value, I think CSK tops all of them.
You should tell me about it because you're multi-talented. You know everything, financial backing. So tell me, CSK. I'm going to ask you a question. You answer that. What kind of a fan base does CSK have, and what is the actual worth of CSK? And this is all because of MS Dhoni. I mean, you would have terrific analysis on that.
I need to look into. I mean, I consider myself as you know, a very passionate fan of MSD, and wherever he goes, I have, you know, we all follow, I guess. No, I don't know the exact valuation, but it must be up there. His, you know, he has CSK and MS Dhoni have made Chennai, I think, into one of the most informed uh, cricket audiences and cricket fans on the planet. Everyone wants to
Wow.
come and play in Chennai now to these audiences because they're so informed, they're so passionate, and they know the game so well. And that's predominantly because I think of CSK and Dhoni. Because you know, when you think about North India, South India, you know, we've always had, you know, Delhi, Mumbai. It's, you know, lots of cricket fans, lots of players. But when you really go down south, not crazy about sports and not crazy about cricket until this. And now they are one of the best, I think, fans, and people comment on it all the time. So that kudos to both CSK and MS.
A lot of people say Chennai is hot. and the people are warm. Come to Chennai.
That's wonderful. I can't wait. And I hope that this isn't Dhoni's last year. I don't think it is. And I think it'll be a fitting, um, I don't want to say end, but if CSK win this year, the IPL, after everything that the world has gone through, I think it'll just be the cherry on top. And I wish that for them. I think the UAE pitches will be good for them. However, they are losing their two excellent English bowlers, so they have to get replacements. But if they manage to get the right replacements, I think they're definitely in with the chance. They're the table toppers, so if all goes well, it probably is MI and CSK in the final. So let's hope that the luck gods are with CSK this year.
After what happened last season, it's quite remarkable the way in which they've come back this season. Actually, they wanted Glenn Maxwell so desperately in the auction. They couldn't get him.
Ah,
Then went for Moeen Ali because they were looking at an off spinner who
yes,
could bat a bit. That's why the two guys that claimed big money
yes.
was Moeen Ali, the overseas off spinner batsman, and Gautam from Karnataka, Bangalore, an Indian off spinning batsman. Because when they encountered against left-handed batsmen, Harbhajan left the side. He didn't play in UAE last year. He backed out. They didn't have an off spinner. So once they had left-handers in the opposition, the CSK side struggled a bit. So they went in for an off spinner who can bat a bit option, and Moeen Ali has been doing brilliantly. I mean, you thought Raina would bat at three. Moeen Ali is batting at three, and he's delivering the goods. So fingers crossed. So far they've done well, and hopefully they'll qualify.
Yeah, I see them definitely going the distance. Definitely, there are a lot of CSK fans in Dubai as well. So let's hope that they come good. Now to the audience questions. Now this is very exciting. We've had a lot of fan questions and we've had tons of interesting ones, but I've picked some of the best ones, and we are actually running a competition where I'll read out the questions that I picked, and then I think you can pick the one that you like the most, and as a gift to that to the person who asked that question, we'll do a shout out with their name and their handle, and on social media too. I'll tweet it out and I'll tag all of us. So I think it'll be some little treat for the person who asked the question. The first of the audience question is, who is your favorite leg spinner currently, other than Rashid Khan?
Well, it would have to be Amit Mishra. Because Amit Mishra, the speeds that he bowls indicates that he's got not only the skills but also a big heart and the challenge. He is one bowler who bowls slower through the air. He wants the batsman to go after him and hit him out of the ground. He is fearless. He's not scared of the batsman. Most other leg spinners, they look to bowl faster through the air, faster through the air. Rashid Khan has got so much of control because he bowls at a fat clip and he has got a good control over line and length. Whereas the other spinners tend to bowl a bad ball every now and again. But Amit Mishra, despite his ability, I mean, he's not the best fielder, but purely as a leg spinner, old is gold. Amit Mishra, still the best.
Wow. Um, so the new rule or strategy, I should say, is that two new balls are being played at both ends of the ODI. So how should leg spinners respond to this?
That's what happened in 1985 as well. 1985, when we played the World Championship of Cricket, and I'll tell you a couple of good stories now when we come back to the World Championship of Cricket. So Ravi would choose a ball, and Kapil Dev would say, the end that you're bowling from, you choose the ball. So with the wind, Kapil Dev is going to be bowling. So I tell Kapil Dev all the time, listen, Ravi would like to bowl with the wind because when the batsman is hitting him down the ground, he's going to be hitting him against the wind. So very often I get to bowl against the wind, which actually helps me because the ball then dips on the batsman. But if the batsman's hitting me, then the ball's going with the wind down the ground. So I'll say I'll pick the ball that Roger Binney is going to bowl with. So you and Ravi pick the ball on one side. I'll pick the ball with Roger Binney on the other side. So that's how we would normally do it. because Ravi would bowl with the wind and try and keep it tight, and I would bowl from the other end. Because there's a lot of wind blowing, you could afford to fly the ball, impart a lot of spin, and the ball will dip on the batsman. And that particular series, people talk about the low full tosses getting a lot of wickets. That's the dip in the air that happened because of the spin imparted and also the wind pulling the ball back. And also another incident, England had beaten India in India before the World Championship of Cricket. And this particular game, India versus England, was played at Sydney. But this was the 150th anniversary of Victoria, so all the games were happening in the World Championship of Cricket, mainly in Melbourne. But this one
Mhm.
was happening in Sydney, New South Wales. So India, England. So as usual, Ravi wakes up earlier than me, then makes me a cup of coffee, makes himself a cup of chai. Then he goes through the papers and he's so angry, he's so angry. I was still half asleep. He says, get up, quickly. I made coffee for you. Wake up, look at the paper. So there is this statement by the England captain. So what if the Sydney pitch is going to help spinners? Our spinners are better than theirs. So Ravi said, look at this. Just because they beat us in India, because our batsmen failed, this statement has come up. Wake up.
Mhm.
Let's now show it to them today. So India, I think we managed to get 239. And we were 99 for two at 25 overs. And when they were at 25 overs, they were also 99 for two. So it was similar scores at that time. And that was the time Ravi and me started bowling together in tandem. So it was going to be a very important phase in the game. And Ravi had psyched himself that he's going to do really well that day. So Ravi got three wickets. But first, what happened was they were getting ones and twos. When they were 99 for two, I dropped a straightforward catch of Martin Moxon. The partnership building up, there was drinks break, which gave us the option to still think about what we are doing.
Mhm.
And similar scores at that stage. England were well in a good position to try and chase the down. So I went to Gavaskar and I told him, listen, I have been bowling around the wickets. I want to change my angle just for a bit, go over the stumps and come back to around the stumps. So he told me, listen, you're doing fine. As long as you don't concede boundaries, we are doing fine. Towards the end, we have the experience of Kapil Dev, Madan Lal, and Mohinder Ramanath. We can control them. This pitch will wear out. As long as you're not conceding boundaries, it's fine. I said, Sunny Bhai, I'm going to take wickets. You wanted me to take wickets, I'm going to take wickets. So I went, he said, okay, if you're so confident, go over the stumps and set your own field. So Alan Lamb was batting. I went over the stumps and took the fine leg to short third man, and I started bowling googlies. Every ball was a googly in that over, and he was beaten all ends up every ball. And the fifth ball he thought was a leg break, and I bowled a googly again, and he was bowled. So from 99 for two, they were 140 all out. Ravi got three wickets and I got three wickets. They crumbled like nine pins. And that night was the night to party, night to celebrate in Sydney for Ravi Shastri and Sivaramakrishnan.
Amazing. And Sydney is a great place to party. I know it's my hometown. Um, the next question is also about Australia. Australia is a has been a great place for leg spinners, actually. What is the reason behind this?
See, Australian pitches have a lot more bounce than most other countries. The fast bowlers are exploited to good effect. So if a leg spinner is good enough, that's why you see Shane Warne has got a lot of wickets in Australia. And McGrath's got
Yes.
a lot of wickets in Australia because of the extra bounce. And Shane Warne would probably, I mean, much greater, played a lot more cricket than me, but we're similar because both of us are big turners of the cricket ball. And Shane Warne would get the bounce with it. That's the reason the turn and the bounce combined together and the big boundaries at that point in time. Big boundaries meant that you had to hit the ball really well to hit six. Otherwise, you're going to get out caught in the deep. So these are the two factors because the turn and bounce and the batsmen
Mhm.
are not well equipped to play the big shots at that point in time and allowed the leg spinners to get a lot of wickets in Australia.
Wow, amazing. The next question, in the B&H Trophy 1985, how much pressure was there on you when you had to bowl to the likes of Javed Miandad, Zahir Abbas, and Imran Khan?
I mean, luckily for me, Gavaskar was the captain, and he was the captain we had just finished the England series. And a leg spinner needs a very good captain. Earlier, you'd asked about the future of test spinners in India. So, one of the reasons why we are not able to produce good spinners who will do well in test match cricket is because in domestic cricket, we don't have too many good captains. In Test match cricket, how Sunil Gavaskar handled me and the clear picture that he gave me before the tournament when he took me out for lunch. And he said to me, in your 10 overs, you're just going to look for wickets. Ravi and you together in the 20 overs, you get wickets. So he gave me a clear picture as to what was expected from me. So that way, I think a leg spinner needs to inculcate the habit. Batsmen will get runs. You will bowl the bat ball. You're not a machine anymore. So the important thing is to count. If you're bowling more number of wicket-taking balls than the boundary balls, you're doing really well. That's what the bowlers in India have to be taught.
Awesome. And then the next question, who was your best test wicket and why?
I think my best test wicket was but there's a choice between Mike Gatting and Alan Border. Both of them were out cotton bowled. But I would say Mike Gatting because Mike Gatting was going through a brilliant phase in his career, and he stepped down the pitch and tried to work it to mid on, and ball took the leading edge, and that ball was heading towards mid off, and I had to run a couple of steps, and it was a very low catch. I mean, anybody who's got pictures of that catch, first innings in Bombay Test, 1984, full length diving to my left, expecting that return catch. I think that would have been the best test wicket I had.
Wow. And then the last question, if you were playing today, who would play you really well and who would trouble you?
So that man, well, I didn't have to think too much about this one, but I would have had big trouble bowling to him. Everybody in the world has trouble bowling to him. That is none other than Mr. 360, A.B. de Villiers. He is a legend. He is absolute god of T20 cricket. What a magnificent player. I mean, anybody would be petrified to bowling to him. But one thing, lucky though, if A.B. de Villiers hits you, nobody is going to come and tell you anything. Nobody has the rights to come and tell you anything because he's going to hit every bowler. So that's one guy I would be a little hesitant bowling to, A.B. de Villiers. And this is a fantastic question because this is spread over eras. You're asking a guy who's played in the 80s about 2020, over 40 years. And I still say, no matter how much the game has changed, A.B. de Villiers would have been the man most difficult to bowl to.
And who would play you well? Oh, I guess it's ABD. And who would you trouble the most from all the big names?
Well, if you look at the big names, I'd probably look at the people who don't pick up googlies. So it comes to our own situation, and something like a Virat Kohli gets out to googlies, Rohit Sharma gets out to googlies, Dennis Dhoni gets out to googlies. But I would think Pollard, he also gets out to a lot of googlies. And it's important to pick up Pollard because Mumbai Indians, if they lose a couple of wickets, they'll look at Pollard winning the game for them.
Yes.
So I think I'll go for Pollard.
Interesting, a great call. And of all these questions, can you pick one that was your favorite?
I mean, the second last question about A.B. de Villiers, I think why I'm saying that's a very good question is you're comparing a man who's played in the 80s and bringing him a man who's playing in the 2010s and 2020s after retirement. And I still feel he could have destroyed most bowlers playing today after his retirement. That's a wonderful question.
Well, it's the same person asked the last and the second last, and so this is a shout out to the person who asked the question as a gift for being chosen as the best question. The question came from Rishi the Optimist, and his handle on Twitter is drishi98. So Rishi, thank you so much. I will tweet and tag all of us so that that you get this message too, and I hope that you catch our episode. So that brings us to the end of our conversation. But this is just the very beginning. Now, I'm just taking all the amazing adventures and stories that you've shared about Ravi Shastri, Bharat Arun, and so on. I'm very, very excited of this upcoming World Test Championship final between India and New Zealand.
Yeah.
Obviously, the England and New Zealand two test match series is going on right now, which is also interesting. But there is a real build up, I think, for the WTC final. That's on the
Yep.
18th. So we will bring a fabulous episode for all of you where we will talk, I think, in depth of the two squads, the players, the batsmen, the bowlers, the strengths, weaknesses, our predictions, pitch, weather, everything. I think we'll do a deep dive analysis, and of course share more stories as well uh, with you, LS. And I think our audience will be very, very
Yep.
informed. So, uh, so excited about getting that, I think, to our audience just before the final starts, before the first day. So I think on the 16th or the 17th, we'll release that episode, and we'll notify you so you guys will know. Thank you so much, LS. I hope you
Yep.
had as much fun as I did,
I had a great
having this
time.
amazing conversation.
I had a really great time, and I hope the Twitterati enjoyed a good time as well. I know you're watching New Zealand. I'm keeping in touch with the Indian players. My boys are there, Mr. Shastri, Mr. Arun. Let's find out what the Indian team does, and you find out what the New Zealanders are doing.
Absolutely. And LS, how do people get in touch with you? I'm sure they want to engage with you. I'm sure they have questions on social media and so on. What's the best way to get in touch with
Well,
you?
they can ask me questions on Twitter or direct messages at Twitter. That's the best platform to be on. And I think we can gather more and more people because we'd like to make the show a regular one because so
Yes.
much of cricket happening. And all we need to do is try and get a good sponsor so the prize winners, we can give them something.
Absolutely, you're so right. I mean, there'll be the IPL, the T20 World Cup, the India and England series, the Ashes, and of course the WTC final. There is so much cricket going on, and we are very much all immersed and involved. So I hope that we'll be able to make this a regular thing and get some amazing episodes, informative, knowledgeable, and fun episodes for all of you. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Ellis, thank you for gracing my show with your presence. Um, to the audience, please like, share, subscribe, comment. I hope you enjoyed it. We need your support. And also a message to Bharat. Be safe, stay safe, stay strong.
I know.
India
Very
together,
important.
and hopefully everything will be back to normal very, very soon. We're all very proud of you. The whole world loves you. So hang in there. Uh, Dhanyavad, everyone. Namaste and Jai Hind. Thank you.